UFC is all about fighters unleashing hell on one another inside the cage, but sometimes the chaos spills outside. From press conferences to backstage blow-ups, here are the ugliest brawls that went down beyond the octagon. By 2017, Kevin Lee had started to blow up for coming off as a straight-up Conor McGregor copycat.
2 buffaloes had to die to make them glasses.
3 people died making this watch, you know what I mean?
Lee would also often point out holes in other fighters' game.
You go back to Khabib and all this, like his style it's good. It's obviously very good, but I can see a lot of holes in it.
Lee was in fact so cocky and full of himself that he believed nobody at lightweight could beat him. But his true homecoming was a UFC press conference in 2017 when he badly ruffled his opponent Michael Chiesa's feathers. It all started when Lee made a personal joke about Chiesa's mother, and Chiesa didn't take it lightly.
Yeah, you know, he's a tough kid, but he's gonna get beat up, so it'll be fun.
I know his mama got tickets, so
Shut the f up about, hey, don't talk about my mom for one. Don't you ever talk about my mom.
Chiesa obviously wasn't pleased as he jumped out of his seat and went straight at Lee, leading to a brawl that almost turned ugly.
Because I know his mama got tickets, so
Shut the f up about, hey, don't talk about my mom for one. Don't you ever talk about my mom. Don't you ever talk about my fucking mom. Don't you ever talk about my fucking mom.
Dad,
I want to get in the middle.
like whatever you want to call it.
I smack the f out of you right now. Don't you ever talk about my mom.
Yeah,
Never talk about
yeah. What's good?
The pre-fight drama between Kevin Lee and Michael Chiesa was wild enough, but the fight itself ended in more controversy. The rivalry between Rampage Jackson and Rashad Evans is one of the most talked about in UFC history, and it really blew up during the Ultimate Fighter Season 10. From the very first day of filming, tensions were high as Rashad would tease Rampage, dismissing his efforts and suggesting he didn't care about his fighters.
I'm gonna make you quit.
You gonna make me quit?
I'm gonna make you quit.
You gonna make me quit?
I'm gonna make you quit.
I'm glad you're thinking that way.
It's like you quit in this competition and you quit on your fighters.
I ain't quit nothing,
That's how
baby.
exactly how you gonna quit.
I ain't quit nothing.
With each episode, the two were really getting under each other's skin, and at one point, they got so close to fighting inside the gym that coaches and fighters had to step in and hold them back.
We're gonna get
Look
a
at me.
chance.
No.
We're gonna get a chance.
No, don't make threats then and say we'll get a chance. Listen, I'm right here right now. I'm here right now. Listen, I'm here right now in your face.
I'm telling you,
please, touch me, please.
The rivalry became the main storyline of that entire season, and fans were less interested in the contestants and more hooked onto the two coaches.
I can't stand that boy for real, man. I came really close to just trying to knock his teeth down his throat.
By the time the season ended, the hype for their actual fight was through the roof.
What? I got everything for your ass. 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 Man, dude, I don't even know if you gonna wake up, homie. Okay. I don't even know if you gonna wake up, homie.
We'll see.
You ain't gonna wake up.
Well, if you talk,
you ain't gonna wake up.
While Rashad Evans versus Rampage Jackson was steamy, Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington was ugly, and it all started after Usman's welterweight title win over Tyron Woodley at UFC 235. Covington and Usman may have fought twice inside the octagon and traded countless heated words along the way, but their rivalry actually boiled over long before that with a wild run-in at a casino. In 2017, Colby Covington reinvented himself as the villain after beating Damian Maia in Brazil, where he infamously called the crowd filthy animals.
I should have knocked him out! Brazil, you're a dog! All you filthy animals suck!
From then on, he started taking shots at almost everyone in the welterweight division, and a rising Kamaru Usman was soon in his sights.
You ain't ready for prime time yet, son? You ain't ready for prime time? That's why you on digital cable, boy. I'm on pay-per-view. Sit your ass down, Junior.
We live 20 miles apart. We live 20 miles apart and we have mutual friends. If it's beef, we can do it
and no
all
one
day.
Gives a about you. Dana White,
all day.
No one cares about you. You're a nobody.
By mid-2018, Colby had beaten Rafael dos Anjos to win the interim welterweight title, branding himself the real champ while trashing Tyron Woodley, the reigning champion at that time. Meanwhile, Usman, still undefeated in the UFC, began calling Colby out as a fraud who was ducking serious contenders.
He's a duck, you know? He talks all this trash about everybody. He talks all this about that he's this, he's that. He's nothing.
Later that year, after Colby refused to fight Woodley due to surgery, the UFC stripped him of his belt and handed Usman the next title shot. Usman won and then went to a casino the next day to celebrate. Colby was there too, and all hell broke loose.
We got women, we got kids in line. We got women, we got kids in line.
Colby later claimed that Usman's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, initiated the brawl and threatened to shoot him.
Told me he's gonna track me down, he's gonna shoot me and kill me. What do you think about that?
From that point on, the rivalry only got uglier, with Colby firing personal insults at Usman whenever he could. They eventually met twice inside the cage, but on both occasions, it was Usman who walked away with the victory. Fighters getting into brawls is nothing new. It's almost part of the game, but when even the UFC's legendary ring announcer throws down, you know the sport isn't for the rookies. UFC's legendary ring announcer Bruce Buffer isn't just the voice of the octagon, he's the man who sets the stage for every UFC fight night with his booming catchphrase, "It's time." For decades, he's been the face and the voice that fans instantly recognize, and with his kind and humble personality, he's loved by almost everyone in the MMA community. But behind that lovable persona is a warrior at heart, who's never been afraid to throw down when the moment calls for it. Nearly 20 years ago, Bruce found himself exchanging blows in an elevator with UFC fighter Frank Trigg, and all because of a harmless joke. Trigg was deep in conversation with Dana White about some contractual stuff when Buffer suddenly cut in and started joking about Dana's flashy watch. Trigg was extremely annoyed by the interruption, but instead of speaking it out, he decided to let his fists do the talking.
When the elevator opens, there's Dana White and his security guy, Tom. So we're walking in, the doors have not even closed. Frank immediately, who was saying to Dana, you know, when are you gonna put me in another fight, in so many words, and they were just exchanging a few things, and I'm a watch freak, okay? And Dana had this really cool watch on, this watch band. And so here's the elevator, we walk in, I'm at the door, Frank is over here, Dana's over here, and I turn to Dana, what a watch. Now, I'm sorry if I interrupted the brief moment they were having, you know, him asking for a job or whatever the case might be, because I don't mean to do that. But when I did that, I got a ridge hand, he's over here, I'm facing here, and I get a ridge hand in my throat.
Instead of freezing like any non-fighter would, Bruce instead fired back, and within seconds, that elevator turned into a mini cage fight with Dana White basically stuck playing referee.
I just reacted, I just went boom, boom, you know? And then it was on. And now the doors close, and we're just throwing at each other for 10 floors. I mean, what is that, maybe? We get back to the minute-long fight.
For about half a minute, the two went at it, trading punches until the doors finally slid open.
All I was doing was going at it with Frank, and it's like, we're going down, and then it just bam, 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 and then he kneed me, and one of my friends, and I felt that, and then I shoulder turned him and pushed against the elevator, and he came back, and then I feel the doors opening behind me.
Bruce ended up with a messed up hand that needed stitches, but Dana couldn't have been happier. He loved seeing that his announcer had the cojones of a pro fighter. Trigg learned a tough lesson though, just like Leon Edwards found out backstage at UFC London in 2019 that sometimes one wrong word can result in a badly bruised face. Heading into UFC London in 2019, Leon Edwards was frustrated with the UFC. He believed he deserved a bigger spotlight than a place as the co-main event under Darren Till versus Jorge Masvidal, whose popularity had soared due to a reality show appearance.
I pushed for the London card, me and Till, he didn't want it, that didn't happen. So this is a fight to make. This wasn't the main event to make, him and George. It was me versus him. He was the best welterweight in the UK, and that's what should happen, not George.
Edwards traded barbs with Till during fight week, hoping to secure that big fight next.
I just know one thing. I'll punch a hole in your face.
You do f***ing nothing. You punch for nothing. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Look at your path. Look at my path. What are you talking about?
Listen,
come on.
your fight will come. And when it comes, you'll get it. We will. Well, right now in England, I'm the number one.
You're not number one.
Well, I am on the main f***ing event, mate.
You're the number one.
Come on, son, let's have it right.
Come on.
Come on, Leon, don't kid yourself, brother.
Once Masvidal scored the upset and knocked Till out cold, Leon shifted his attention to him. After the win, Masvidal was in the middle of a post-fight interview when Leon Edwards started chirping at him from backstage.
They're duplicated, but they can't find the recipe for it, you know? Oh, I'm glad I got the recipe.
Masvidal didn't like the noise, however. Instead of ignoring it, he casually walked over with his hands behind his back like he was just going to have a chat, but as soon as he got close enough, he threw a quick 3-punch combo right before dropping his iconic one-liner.
Let's talk about that opening sequence.
Maybe, maybe not. If you, hey, come over here, say it in my face. I had to give him the 3-piece with the soda and then just glide out of there, you know.
The whole thing blew up instantly.
everybody watching this back home from Miami was like, you should have punched him as soon as he asked you a question while you're interviewed, because that's my natural instinct, you know. So if you're getting interviewed and some fucking idiot comes here and cuts your interview off, bro, you should get punched or slapped upside your head, you know?
Leon was left with a cut under his eye, and the footage went viral. Masvidal turned the three-piece and a soda line into one of the most infamous catchphrases in UFC history, while Edwards had to swallow the moment and wait for his chance to get even inside the cage. Now London seems to be a hotbed for UFC brawls, and the next one is going to blow you away because it's still the craziest street fight in UFC history, and it goes all the way back to 2002. The UFC had just held their very first event in the UK called Brawl at the Hall, and ironically, the real brawl didn't even happen inside the cage. It broke out in the streets of London afterward. British fighter Lee Murray, who had a reputation for being dangerous inside and outside the cage, was rumored to have knocked out then light heavyweight champion Tito Ortiz that night. Outside a nightclub, one of Ortiz's friends was play fighting with Pat Miletich, but someone from Lee Murray's crew thought it was a real fight, so they jumped in.
Somebody was on Pat's back and kind of like playing with him, choking him, but I guess somebody took it the wrong way. It was a friend of Tito's that was on his back doing that. Somebody took it the wrong way, came up, cold cocked him, he went down, taxi cab ran over his arm, and all hell started to break loose.
Before long, one of Murray's friends, who would later be involved in the infamous bank heist in 2006, cracked Ortiz's buddy and left him out cold.
What the F are you doing trying to choke my coach? And right when Bo wanted to say something back to him, Paul, Lee Murray's buddy, Paul was the one that was one of the guys in part of the so-called biggest bank heist in world history. Paul, out of nowhere, who's a big dude, with a running start, blasted Bo with the right hand and launched him. And the alley blew up into a huge fight.
Tito naturally got involved, and suddenly, all hell broke loose. Fists started flying everywhere, people were dropping left and right in the middle of it, Lee Murray went straight to Tito.
Tito got knocked out fair and square. He went after Lee. Lee knocked his ass out and kicked him in the head a couple times, and I saved Tito's ass by telling Lee to stop.
According to multiple witnesses, Murray unleashed a vicious 5-punch combo that floored the UFC champion and then followed up with soccer kicks while Tito was down. Ortiz, of course, has denied it ever since, but most of the people who were there back up Murray's version of events. If only it was captured on camera like the next brawl, we'd be more sure. Back in March 2016, Conor McGregor was on top of the world. He had just become the first man to knock out Jose Aldo and was the UFC's biggest star, and was originally supposed to fight Rafael dos Anjos for the lightweight belt, but RDA pulled out with an injury. In his place, Nate Diaz stepped in on short notice and shocked the world by choking him out in the second round. That's how we got to their rematch at UFC 202, where temperatures went up multiple notches. At the UFC 202 press conference, Conor McGregor strolled in over 30 minutes late, and if that wasn't enough to irritate Nate Diaz, the Irishman wasted no time launching into his trademark trash talk.
Yeah, I'm like, bring the clinch, bring your jiu-jitsu, bring the whole of f***ing Stockton. I'm ready for whatever he has to bring.
Nate wasn't playing along because after a few back and forth exchanges, he just got up, grabbed his crew, and walked out. But before leaving, he made sure to stir things up by throwing a water bottle at Conor.
Shut your fucking mouth, you damn nut. You damn fucking nut. Now, what are you fucking nut? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Come this way. Hey, the Diaz show, come this way. Fuck you.
Conor, being Conor, wasn't about to let it slide. He started grabbing bottles and cans off the table and hurling them back at Diaz's team.
That's all right. Hey, Conor, don't throw those fucking cans. Conor.
Suddenly, you had two squads, Diaz's team on one side, McGregor's camp on the other, with water bottles and energy drink cans flying through the air in front of reporters, cameras, and UFC staff. Security was scrambling, and Dana White was losing his mind, while Conor stood on stage hurling bottles like a major league pitcher at the Diaz brothers. The Stockton crew had always been magnets for controversy, but nothing in their wild history compared to the chaotic headlines that came out of Nashville in 2010. The Diaz brothers have been in plenty of wild brawls over the years, but none of them come close to what went down at Strikeforce Nashville. Jake Shields had just beaten Dan Henderson to defend his middleweight belt at the event, and since Shields was part of the Cesar Gracie team, the whole squad, Nick and Nate Diaz included, jumped into the cage to celebrate. But while Shields was giving his post-fight speech, Jason Mayhem Miller decided to crash the party, demanding a rematch on live TV.
But Henderson's a true legend, man. I'm glad to have beaten him. He beat the crap out of the worst I've ever been beat that first round.
What's up? Where's my rematch, buddy?
If this was almost any other group of fighters, maybe there's a little trash talk, maybe a shove for the cameras, and that's it. But the Diaz brothers don't play, meaning that Mayhem made a big mistake that night, because he walked in alone against a squad that held 3 Strikeforce titles at the time. After some shoves, it was Nick Diaz who finally snapped. He landed the first real punch, and that catapulted into a full-on brawl.
What's up? Where's my rematch, buddy?
According to Mayhem, he just started swinging at whoever was closest, trying to survive what felt like a gang beating.
I said, where's my rematch, buddy? And then it was just a nightmare.
Oh my
and
God.
if you notice right there, I double-leg Nate. I double-leg Nate because I know when you're getting jumped, you got to get somebody on the ground so you don't get f***ed up. So you don't get stomped out.
The fight ended up spilling all over the cage, right in front of the cameras, and it looked bad, like really bad. Strikeforce basically lost its TV deal with CBS after this mess, and less than a year later, the UFC bought the company. We're not saying the Diaz brawl was the only reason Strikeforce went under, but it sure didn't help.
I believe the Diaz brothers are taking a lot of slack for this thing. Number one, Jake Shields pushed him first, and Gilbert Melendez was in the middle of that too. And let me ask anybody a question. Ask 1,000 people this question. Fight breaks out next to the Diaz brothers. What do you think's going to happen? Okay? Anybody? Is that a shock to anybody? Really, a fight broke out with the Diaz brothers' friends and they got involved? That's weird. Come on, give me a fucking break.
Now, it's not just the men who lose it sometimes. Women have had their wild moments too, and we saw that firsthand in 2017 when Cris Cyborg and Angela Magana came face to face. Back in May 2017, Cris Cyborg and Angela Magana were both in Las Vegas for the UFC Fighter Retreat, an event meant to bring fighters together for networking, but things went south fast. Magana had been stirring up trouble on Twitter, taking shots at several fighters including Cyborg, who she mocked by comparing her to Billy the Puppet from the Saw horror franchise. Cyborg had dealt with years of cruel remarks about her appearance, with even UFC President Dana White once mocking her.
She looked like Vanderlei Silva in a dress and heels. And she did. Didn't she not? Who wants to dispute that she didn't look like Vanderlei? She got up and she was like, walking up the stairs, jacked up on steroids, beyond belief, and looked like Vanderlei Silva in a dress and heels.
So she was definitely not going to let this one slide, especially when she ran into Magana at the retreat. What started as an argument quickly escalated. Cyborg punched Magana in the face in front of everyone.
Oh my God! Don't talk shit to me. Respect me, okay?
Security and other fighters jumped in to break it up, but Magana was already shaken up. She later pressed charges, and Cyborg was cited for misdemeanor battery.
Are you exploring legal options, lawsuit, things like that?
I've already retained a lawyer.
Are you going to be suing Cyborg?
Of course, most definitely. I have medical bills. I'm not gonna pay those.
Cyborg later defended her actions by condemning Magana, saying it should never be acceptable for a company to foster a culture where sexual harassment, racial prejudice, or discrimination against women is tolerated in the workplace. The UFC didn't suspend Cyborg, but the incident definitely made headlines because it showed how personal online beefs can get when fighters meet face to face and have dollies flying everywhere. UFC 223 in Brooklyn was already a tense week with main event fighters pulling out and whatnot, but things completely blew up when Conor McGregor's future rival Khabib Nurmagomedov was caught on camera cornering and intimidating Conor's teammate and close friend Artem Lobov. When Conor saw that footage, he jumped on a plane with his crew, stormed into the arena, and went hunting for Khabib. That's when all hell broke loose. McGregor famously hurled a dolly through a bus window, and while Khabib himself was untouched, the collateral damage was brutal.
What the fuck? Put this!
Fighters Michael Chiesa and Ray Borg ended up with cuts to their faces and had to pull out of their scheduled fights just days away. Artem Lobov was also scratched from the card because of his involvement. It turned into probably the ugliest fight week in UFC history, and Dana White was furious.
Everybody's shaken up when 30 thugs storm a, these guys are all cutting weight and getting ready for a fight. This is the most disgusting thing that has ever happened in the history of the company. And there is a warrant out for Conor McGregor's arrest, and they're looking for him right now. His plane cannot take off. He cannot leave the state of New York.
McGregor was slapped with 3 counts of assault, released on a $50,000 bail, and ordered to attend anger management classes along with community service. But if Conor had to sit in anger management, maybe Khabib should have been right there with him, because after their fight at UFC 229, Khabib completely lost control in a big way too. The second he made McGregor tap in the 4th round of their lightweight title fight, instead of celebrating, he leapt out of the cage and attacked Conor's cornerman Dylan Dennis. A lot was happening inside the octagon, as well as Khabib's teammates Zubaira Tukhugov and Abubakar Nurmagomedov, who's actually Khabib's cousin, climbed into the cage and went straight for McGregor. Conor had just gone through 4 grueling rounds, but even in complete exhaustion, he still managed to land some heavy shots of his own. When the dust settled, the punishments came down hard. McGregor was fined $50,000 and suspended for 6 months. Khabib, meanwhile, got hit with a massive $500,000 fine for starting the whole thing, plus a 9-month suspension.
I don't want to fight in Vegas anymore because they take his money and they take my money 10 more times.
So those were some of the wildest brawls outside of the UFC cage, where fighters threw hands when they really shouldn't have. But not every fight starts with fists. Sometimes fighters use their mouths instead, and the things they say can be just as crazy. So check out some of the most embarrassing interviews in MMA history.